That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
These are the sorts of things that we should talk about right in the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Started giving people free quotes. Isn't sunshine and rainbows, and isn't, everyone sees you doing so well.
For just being a solo
The
operator.
change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
The differences between Australia and New Zealand in terms of your cost of living's higher than Australia, so I think your fuel prices at the moment, I know mine are somewhere between $1.80 and $2.10 for depending on whether we're talking petrol, diesel, and what rating it is.
Yep, I'll just open up Gas Buy, and so the cheapest in Hamilton at the moment. Oh, go away, Ed. Cheapest in Hamilton at the moment is up north for 91, and that is $2.45.6 a litre.
Wow.
Looks like they may actually, it must just be coming down. Pack and Safe Clarence Street, which is not too far away from me. That's $2.48 for 91.
Yeah, okay.
A litre. Go diesel. I wonder if there's a discount day on. So $2.80
more.
Yeah, $2.83
for diesel.
For diesel. Oh, sorry, $1.83 for diesel.
Okay, yeah, that's almost comparable to Australia. Even cheaper than Australia.
Then we there could be a discount day on. Generally, if one of them, like Galt, will do like a discount day on a Thursday, or someone will do a discount day on a Thursday, then everyone will match them.
Yeah. Okay.
But the last time I filled up, I think it was $1.93 last week, or $1.98 or something like that for diesel.
Okay.
Then we have road user charges on top of that for diesel vehicles. So for your petrol vehicles, your road user charges or your fuel excise tax covers that. So it's built into the price. Diesel, it is $78 for my van, $78 per 1,000 Ks. So for ruck, as we call it.
That adds up.
It does. So I just spent $780 on 10,000 Ks.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that won't even last me a year.
Yeah, okay. So are you pre-purchasing that?
Yes, with diesel mileage or road, that you need to pre-purchase it. They've actually just brought it in for EVs and plug-in hybrids as well.
Well, I guess they that's one of the things they should do, right?
Yeah. I think the plug-in hybrids are the one that cop that the worst because they run 91 or 95, which has excise tax built into it, and then they get road user charges. I think they're about 50 cents for instead of $78. I think they're $50 for 1,000 Ks.
Okay, yeah.
So your plug-in hybrids cop it the most.
That's nasty.
Yeah. And that's just coming, I think it was end of last month. Just bought that one in.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, that definitely adds up. And I think I do like around about 12 to 15,000 Ks a year.
Yep. So to compare cost of living fair between Australia and New Zealand, I think that the fuel price is a great one, but the other one in terms of the average income in Australia, I would say it's gone up in the time I've been working from 60,000 to 80,000 to now somewhere around 100,000. And it depends whether you're in a capital city where it can be over 100,000, like up to 120,000 average, or if you're outside of the capital cities, your average might come down under 100,000 or around the 86 to 90,000 mark.
So I was just the average full-time salary in New Zealand, $53,000.
Average. Wow.
Average, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if somebody's on 53,000 in New Zealand, can they afford to live?
Depends if you've got kids or not.
Yeah.
Or if you own, like, if someone is on that and they had kids, there's working for families. There'll be the independent tax earner tax code.
Okay.
That would to reduce some of the tax that they pay. You'd probably struggle.
Yeah, I
Mind
can
you, we
imagine.
did it. I think we pretty much did that last year.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you
no, a
probably
bit
get some
more.
benefits because you're in business, so you get some more tax write-offs as well.
Oh yeah, this year was a different story. Actually made money for a change.
Yeah.
Was able to pay myself a lot more. Second year in business, of course.
Yep. Does make a big
You know,
difference.
yeah, losses from like purchasing the van and everything carried forward and so on. But yeah, I think if you were by yourself, you wouldn't be. You'd have to have a small profit, like a small rental, or you would be renting with others.
To share. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd definitely struggle.
Yeah.
I couldn't see us being able to do it with two kids.
Yep. So if you're dual income and that puts you up over $100,000 or potentially a lot more than that, then you're going to be somewhat comfortable.
Yeah, so we were definitely comfortable when I was working full time. When I was working at council, we had dual incomes of over 70.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely been a step back. But as you said, business write-offs.
Yeah.
You're not paying for certain things, are you?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
the business pays for those.
Yep. Yeah, so that makes a big difference, and particularly when you're starting out in business, because a lot of your business expenses are things which you would otherwise be buying personally if you're working for somebody else.
Yep.
So they come out before you declare any personal income.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I guess the other factor that I think is worth comparing there is in terms of what you need to make as a lawn care business. And I've talked about some various numbers in Australia, so it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are by comparison in New Zealand. And in Australia, when I started, my goal was to have business turnover that was comparable to what I was earning before I started business. So I figured expenses that I was going to incur being in business at that point in time
Mm-hmm.
would allow me to go, okay, if I have some business expenses, some personal expenses that are business expenses. And what I mean by that, I'm not trying to dodge tax, but you've
Yeah.
got
Cell phone.
safety clothing that you wear 5
Yeah.
days a week.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got
exactly. Yeah.
mobile
I
phone
mean,
that you need for
yeah,
business.
mobile phone that the business pays for that because it's your business.
Yeah. So they would be personal items because you still need to wear clothes when you work for somebody
Yep.
else. And you
Yep.
still need a mobile phone. So all those things are expenses, but they are a legitimate business expense when you're in
Yep.
business. So
Yeah. Oh, the PC I'm on right now is these days is mainly used for business, so it's
yeah,
a legitimate business expense to buy the PC for home.
but you would probably still have a PC if you weren't in business.
100%.
But it would come out of your personal income. So what I
Yeah.
compared back in 2010 was around the $50,000 mark. If I turned over $50,000 in business, it was comparable to earning $50,000 working for somebody else at the time.
Yep.
And that accounted for personal tax versus personal expenses versus business expenses and business tax, all the different things that come into it. And nowadays, I would say that comparable, it varies depending on the expense ratios that you have in business. If you're running a lot of really expensive equipment or you've got employees, it changes things. But
Yep.
if you're on your own, and now I would say turnover of between $80,000 and $150,000, and you're going to be able to be comparable to somebody who's earning between $80,000 and $150,000 working for somebody else.
Yep.
So I guess take that. In Australia, I expect that people working full-time lawn mowing, gardening can easily do $80,000 and potentially do between $150,000 and $200,000 turnover.
Yep.
In business solo.
Yep. I'd agree with that. I think I'm probably on track to do around about $80,000 to $100,000 turnover this year.
So You mentioned also that you're at about 3.5 days a week.
At the moment, yeah, like that's just with the lawns. I've managed to bring the lawns that I had down with the bigger mower. So now I can start trying to fit in more garden work than what I was.
So you could potentially go from $80,000 to $100,000 to potentially say $130,000, $150,000 just based on the extra workload you could take on.
Yep, or I could not quite do that much and just spend some more time with kids.
Yeah, and this is what I did when I started business. It was a case of going, I need to spend more time at home. I had a 1-year-old daughter. My wife was going back to work, and so that was the priority, was to balance that work, life, family focus.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So there's So I mean, like tomorrow, if I get everything done, I think I have probably about a $700, $800 day, including GST, lined up.
Yeah.
That's if I can get everything done.
So that's comparable to what I would expect somebody in Australia to do. And there's huge variables there, right? There's people who do a lot more and people who do a lot less, but that's comparable. And only difference is that it seems like the cost of living in New Zealand is substantially higher than in Australia in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's definitely things that are like, I mean, I think you guys get some of our fruit and veg, no, not fruit and veg, our meat and dairy cheaper than we do.
Oh, so you send us your used sheep?
Yeah. We feed them and you guys eat them. Yeah, but I think there's a lot of cases where like our milk, our cheese, our butter, our lamb is cheaper on Australian shelves than it is for us.
That sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does.
I know Australia is the same. We export a lot of product. So if you look in Australia, and I think it's actually criminal the way the government has arranged it. So if the government's listening to this, yes, you suck.
Yeah.
But they literally give our product away overseas.
Yep.
And make us pay through the nose for it. And my little brother, he listens to the podcast, so shout out to Dale. He works in Tasmania on a beef farm.
Yep.
They export most of their product to countries overseas where it's worth their while to export it.
Yep.
If you want,
and they still pay less than us.
Yeah, if you want good quality beef like they're making down in Tasmania, and you don't get that in Coles, you pay through the nose for the cheap rubbish.
Yeah, 100%.
Efficiency is the thing that rules a business and the decisions you make as a small business owner. Right Mowers give you the options in their product lineup to match efficiency with size, fuel usage, and the type of jobs you want to target, from catching to mulching or side discharge, from roadside verges to acreages, and manicured lawns to 6 feet tall and super long. I've been using the Right Stander I 42-inch with a Catch Pro for manicured areas and the Stander ZK61 to maximise productivity for large open acreage mowing. If you need to replace your push mower, try the 32-inch Stander B. If you have more open access to residential properties, there's a 42 through to 48-inch option that suits you. And if you want to enter the acreage market, the 52, 61 and 72-inch machines have choices in engine size and model type to suit the work you want it to do. Right Standards go the distance, saving you time and money season after season.
We were talking about cost of living and talking about the hourly rates and day rates and various different things like that. So, you mentioned that you're doing, I think, what did you say, somewhere between 600 and 800 in a day?
Tomorrow, I've got that lined up. I range, depending on the lawns, like some of my older prices. It's when I was push mowing, I could have some like $400 to $500, including GST. Now I'm quite regularly getting some $600 to $700 days. I think Monday was $670.
Yeah.
No, Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday was $670. Monday was a public holiday.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I didn't actually work out how much yesterday was. Today was light. But it was just the leftovers, and then I had to finish at 3:00 anyway, to go take football training for my daughter. So yeah,
fair enough. So, and that's what we were talking about as well, is that sometimes you prioritise doing time with family instead of trying to make more money.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the reasons why I got into I think the day on Tuesday I didn't actually start till after 9:00, and I was finished by 4.
Yeah.
So I was actually just before 4. Actually, I think it was about 3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nice. I was quite pleased with that day, actually.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, and that's a day where it is mainly using the standard too.
Even better.
Yeah, so that's one of those days where I've managed to get my lawns. They're quite close together. There just seems to be a few standard lawns. It's got that commercial job on it as well. So I am getting more of those $600 to $700 days is where I want to be sort of sitting if I can.
Yeah, awesome.
And 3 to 4 of those a week, and I can pretty much cover my costs, pay myself, and yeah, I don't need the 5th day, but I can use the 5th day to make more money.
Yep. Yeah, so if you get some extra jobs come in, then it's easy for you to make time for them.
Yep. Yeah, so I've always tried to only schedule 3 to 4 days of lawns and try and leave a day for gardens and stuff. But now that 4 days to 4.5 days of lawns has gone to 3 to 3.5.
Yeah.
So now I can try and get more garden work in. I missed out on garden work because I just couldn't do it. In spring. So fingers crossed the big mower will help that and make a bit more money, make it pay for itself.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, 100%.
You want it to be worth having and make it easier for you to make that transition to the 52-inch machine.
Yeah. Oh, that's the goal. As I said, spring I'll target some bigger stuff.
Yeah.
I do chat regularly to another contractor, and he started push mowing, but because he's got petrol, it's been a lot easier to make that swap.
Yes, it would be.
He went 32B, and he's also got a franchise which has still been advertising, which has helped him out a lot.
Okay, yeah.
And then he was the only one who could take the bigger work on for quite a while in that franchise around the area. So even though he wasn't paying for his leads, he was still getting fed them because the franchise didn't want to say no.
Yeah.
And he's gone to an X, and he's 1,000+ days.
So so we're talking the right standards there. So he's got the Standard B and the Standard X.
Mm-hmm.
And the Standard X is an interesting market because I think they're around a 27 horsepower petrol motor.
Yep.
You go up to the ZK, it's got the 37 horse.
Yeah.
Now, the Standard X is going to be more efficient on fuel, but not as good for the really overgrown stuff.
Yeah. I think he's mainly doing lifestyle blocks.
Yeah, so be regularly maintained and try and aim for weekly cuts if he can. And
that's a lot of his work. He's managed to get them weekly. And I chat to him regularly. So and it's he's doing well. Made that transition. Push mowing. Started with Testarossa, gone to the Honda, gone to the 32B, and now gone to the X.
Yeah, nice.
And he has. That's where I would like to, not necessarily up to those sort of 1,000+ days. I don't think I actually need to get there.
Yeah.
Because those are 8 till 4 or 8 till 5. He's leaving home at 8, getting home at 5, sort of thing, and going hammer time. I don't quite want to get to that stage. I'd be quite happy with 6-hour days, pulling in $600-$700 a day.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because we're in the situation where we own our house though, so that we don't, and we've had it for quite a while, so we haven't got the huge mortgage that some other people do.
You can afford to pay yourself a little bit less and spend more time with the family.
Yeah, and as it is, I only pull out enough to help us cover the bills at the moment.
Yeah,
and rest stays in the business.
Fair.
I think we spoke about that afterwards, didn't we? The first one, our first attempt.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I think we've covered we're 2 hours and 40 minutes in.
Yeah. So I've gone round and round in circles about a whole lot of things, and from one topic to another, and some interesting stuff though.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a lot of topics to cover there, so it's been good to, talk about motorbikes and battery-powered stand-on mowers, the whole lot. But yeah, I've been keen to get more people from New Zealand on the podcast so that we can get a good idea of what it looks like in New Zealand by comparison to Australia, but also get the podcast name out there in New Zealand as well, so there's more people in New Zealand got the resource to pull on.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.